and welcome to episode 20 of Tales from the Bargain Bin. I'm Bill Tucker, and with me today is a gentleman who hasn't been on the show in a while. He's been hidden in mystery. He's been shrouded in darkness, I guess. I don't know. Mr. Bobby Tucker returns to talk about a game that we had as a kid. Bobby, how are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. We're here to talk about Tag Team Match M.U.S.C.L.E. M.U.S.C.L.E. being an acronym. And we, for the Nintendo Entertainment System, developed by Bandai in, looks like 1986. This was like a launch game. This was a launch game for, or close to launch game for the original Nintendo. It's a wrestling game, as noted. So, Bobby, what's your familiarity with this game? I remember playing a lot of this as a young person. I'm assuming you did too.
I did too. Yeah, I liked it, but it was kind of obscure to me anyway. I only remember it as muscle. I don't remember the tag team part, but tag team is a big part of the game. And I don't know where it came from. I just remember it appearing one day.
It really did just appear one day. I have to assume this was, again, an Aunt Nancy, or even, I would even say maybe a Grandpa Tucker selection. Our grandpa used to also get us games, you know.
I just wonder if maybe like a friend lent it to you, but I can't remember if like you got to keep it.
I had that hazy memory too. I thought, and like, was this a borrow from a friend that never went back? I have a history of this. I have borrowed things from people and then just never returned it, which isn't really stealing. It's just forgetful borrowing. And if nobody asks for it back, you can't really say you stole it. I don't think.
No. I don't know if I have any video games like that. I definitely have a few DVDs that were borrows and then never returned.
I have a copy of the Orange Box, which is Portal and Half-Life 2 and Team Fortress 2 for the PlayStation 2. It's the PS2 version of the Orange Box. No, PS3. Yeah. I'm sorry, PS3 version of the Orange Box. And I borrowed that from a friend 16 years ago, maybe at this point. About 16 years ago, probably, and still have it sitting in my drawer. I don't even remember the person's name. It was a person from work, I think. She's like, "Here, I'll let you borrow it." And evidently, that's actually worth some money nowadays. I mean, not like I would get rid of it or anything, but yeah. I borrowed it. I used to do that to our friend Drew Gilchrist all the time. Drew had a very, very intensive DVD collection, and he would let me borrow DVDs from him. And I would just not return it. The famous one was My Cousin Vinny. I borrowed My Cousin Vinny from Drew. And it sat in my car for 6 months after I finished watching it. It just sat in the back seat, as happens. And it was all damaged and warped, so I had to buy him a new copy of My Cousin Vinny because I felt bad. I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry. Let me buy you a copy of this movie."
I was over Brian Parks's place. This was years ago. And I saw by his TV, he had a copy of The Wrestler. And I said, "Oh, you've been wanting to watch that?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah. Did you like it?" He's like, "Well, I haven't watched yet." I'm like, "Oh, cool. All right." He's like, "That's your copy, Bobby." Oh. And I said, "Oh." He's like, "Do you want it back?" I went, "No, watch it first."
Watch it.
Apparently you can keep it. Apparently. I didn't even know you had it. I also have a copy, random story. I don't even want to cut this.
That's fine. Whatever.
He's a stand-up comic now, but Mike Racine lent me a copy of his the short-lived HBO show Lucky Louie. Yeah. Which is actually like a rarity now. And I remember trying to give it back to him, but he's a comic, so he kind of like gave me crap for it. he's like, "Yeah, right. Like I want my copy back." I went, "Oh, okay." And I kept it. And to this day, it's still sitting in my collection. Like, that's Mike's copy. I should give him a call.
Give him a call. Give him sign it or something. He's making a name in the comedy world, I think, right?
Yeah. He tours. Yeah. He's awesome. Got some pretty popular friends. So very nice. He's in good company, at least, for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, she's going to sign it. Hey, man, do you want to sign your copy of Lucky Louie that I currently own?
Then he'll just give me more crap.
He would just give you, it's not worth the ribbing you would take about borrowing this for the last 5 years. Yeah.
When you have friends who work in comedy, it's like you know what you know where the line is, unless you want to start riffing on each other.
Yeah, unless you want to get into something, it's like
yeah.
Getting into it with you is not my job. It's your job now. It's not my job.
I got to be in the right headspace.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but I feel like this was a copy from the M.U.S.C.L.E game. Was a copy from a friend. But I don't know if it was a lent or he just handed it to you.
You know what?
I'm not quite sure.
There's a couple of situations where I borrowed games and took forever to get them back. Castlevania was one of those. I borrowed that game for a while. I had people who would borrow games from me and take a long time to return them. Mom would get really upset by that. She would get so mad. Well,
they're expensive.
They're expensive. They're not cheap.
Yeah,
Probably $50 for this game.
Yep.
And it's a game I think is kind of fun. So, Bobby, would you please tell the fine folks, fine listeners, what is this game? What do you do in M.U.S.C.L.E?
It's like the NES game baseball, right? It's just the packaging tells you everything. You play as one of 8, I think 8 or 10 wrestling characters, and you pick 2 because you're a tag team. And then you go through rounds of wrestling, collecting trophies. I don't even remember if there's an ending. I think it just keeps going.
There is no ending. It just loops.
It just loops.
Yeah.
The first and second. I think the first level, the rings loop. The first one's like a normal ring. The second one, I think, might be like a sliding ring.
Yep.
And then the third one has electric ropes. And I always remember that being tricky. But it's stripped down, but it's fun. And once you learn its crummy controls, it actually becomes, once you adapt to it, it becomes a really fun game. What really, I think I played as every character because every character has like a special move. You would get like these orbs thrown from the side. I assume it's your trainer.
Yep, it is your trainer. Yep,
he throws you an orb, and then that gives you the ability to do your special move. And part of the strategy is keeping the opponent away from tagging when they're about to go down. So if they throw like an orb, you may not want to get it because you have them on the ropes, if you will. And it can become kind of intense. And that's what's so funny about M.U.S.C.L.E though is that what I have is at face value, right? It's just these. I don't even know if the characters had names. I think they were in the manual, but they're not in the game. They're not in the game. And you just kind of do it visually. I think I played as the knight a lot. And that was sort of my go-to guy, but I did eventually play as everybody. I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I would always, over time, like in waves, pop it back in and just play it for a couple hours.
Totally.
I think I could probably still do that now. It'd come back to me very quickly.
It came back to me very quickly. You can actually play this in a browser.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you search for M.U.S.C.L.E NES and you can play this in browser. You don't even need the emulator. You just play it in Chrome. And I did for about 15 minutes this morning. And that's all I needed to get my skills back. I had to use the keyboard for it. I couldn't plug a controller in, but even with a keyboard, it's very straightforward. You can do a variety of very simple jump moves and punches. And bouncing off the ropes is very fun. There's a mechanic where you can kind of push your opponent into the ropes and slam into them. There's a lot of neat things you can do in this game. The sprites are nice and big and fun.
Yep.
Got a lot of room to maneuver on this giant mat compared to the character size.
Is it on archive.org? Is that where you found it?
No, I forget. No, it was on something else. I can't remember what it was.
There's a lovely catalog of old games on archive.org.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes that will direct you to it so you can take a look-see at it at your leisure.
Nice.
But M.U.S.C.L.E is actually like probably anything in that era. These are actually real characters from a real manga and anime show.
Yep.
And I swear to you, Bobby, I was trying to get this done beforehand. I could swear we had some of these little characters as toys.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that.
I'm going to do some searching while we talk here. And this is going to be tough. M.U.S.C.L.E toys. Yes. God dang it. We did have these things.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a link here in the chat.
Okay.
In our fancy new... There we go. And see if these little characters spring to mind. We had these dumb things.
Oh wow, yeah.
Do you remember these dumb things? So I just
Not
sent
really.
Bobby here a picture of a link that is a bunch of toys. These little characters are probably an inch tall, and they're all basically flesh colored.
Yeah.
And they are all these little wrestling dudes, and
They look like pencil erasers.
They look like pencil erasers. And we had these damn things. The idea was you collected them as much as possible. I think we had like one little collection of them. There's a toy commercial. I'll put the toy commercial trailer right here. Editor Bill, put the toy commercial right here.
Muscle invasion update. Scientists discover muscle things have come to wrestle. America's only hope, the battling belt and the wrestling ring.
He moves left. He hooks one. Into the battling belt it goes. He's got another. Folks, this wrestling ring may save the world. One more to go. He's got him. His battling belt. Oh, hard knocking, rocking ring. Battling belt. Muscle figure pack. Each sold separately. New from Mattel. Can you save the world?
So we had these things, Bobby. So maybe I had them, maybe you didn't. That's very well. They could have been lost well before your time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do remember your toys, but these guys don't ring a bell. I do remember, though, when I was watching some gameplay footage, people did have, like, in the comments, like, oh, yeah, I had these toys. And I went, I had no idea. That's the beauty, especially in the 80s and the 90s when we actually played this, that we really didn't have, like, the internet as we know it today. So something that came from Japan like this, we only have what's in front of us.
Right.
And so to me, it's just this game. But before, it was this whole cartoon and toy line I had no idea about.
So when I played M.U.S.C.L.E, so the idea is you build a tag team, like you said, and there's 8 characters to choose from. And the 2 characters I always choose, was there 8 or 6? I think there's only 6. 6 or 8.
Oh.
And I forget which. And I always used a character that looked like a monk, but his special move was he threw an axe.
Oh,
and as soon as the axe touched you, the opponent, they would freeze and fall over.
Yeah.
And you could just spam that insanely and just destroy the character and your opponent in 3 hits.
Yeah.
I also used the blonde-haired, I guess the best you could say is the blonde-haired white guy in the little blue Speedos. He kind of reminded me of Bob Backlund from wrestling. Like he was like they just wrestler.exe, just standard wrestler.jpg.
It might have been what they were going for.
Maybe, I don't know, but he was he had a move where he kind of like did a suplex, not a suplex, but like a slam move that he ran into you. So it was fun. And yes, you're right. The little character on the sidelines that gives you your power. That character's name is, I believe it's Meat.
Oh boy, they have names.
The show is trainer Meat Alexandria, and that is your trainer who gives you your special power. I think that's a really fun way of kind of spicing up the gameplay because that's a great way of turning the tide. If he throws something at you and you're at like 2 power, because another neat thing the game does is as your character loses power, you slow down.
Yeah.
You slow down, you can't jump as high.
You lose stamina.
Yeah. So the idea is you gotta go back and tag in your partner, which creates that fun like rush, like that rush to get to the end. Very, very neat game. And you're right, there's nothing else to it. It's 3 rounds and then it just repeats. Repeats the 3 rounds over and over again. The second one you said is a blue. It's like sliding. It's like an ice level. So you're like, it's like as if you're. So imagine if you do a jump and a slam, your body goes across the ground. That's what happens there. So the manga this was created off of is called. I'm gonna screw this up. I don't speak Japanese. I've never taken the time to pronounce these things properly. I apologize in advance to all the friendly folk who are listening. Kinnikuman.
All right.
Literal translation, Muscle Man, the Japanese manga series created by the duo Yoshinori Takai and Takashi Shimada, known as Yuri Tamago. Now, somebody out there, I'm sure, is a huge fan of this. Somebody out there, I'm sure, celebrates the entire franchise. I apologize if I've ruined it, but yeah, it is about a interstellar group of wrestle people.
Yeah.
So these are actual characters from an actual thing that existed in Japan.
That's right. Have there been any games since?
That is an excellent question. Let's see. Characters. There's not much in the wiki for this one, Bobby. There's not a ton here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I did find like a season of the cartoon on the internet archives, and I watched about 5 minutes of one of the episodes, and that's all I could take.
That was it.
But well, it's it's a very like over the top kind of like, I don't know, shouting type of anime. I don't know what else to call it. And everything's like the same like volume and tone for a while.
I don't know anything about anime. It's one of the things in life I've never explored. And people have recommended anime for me to watch. Like, oh no, you need to watch Near Evangelion or whatever it's called, or
Neo,
yeah, whatever. And I'm like, okay, eventually. Then I realize I have limited time on this planet.
Yeah, I've dabbled. I've watched a few series and movies. The stuff that I like is great, and then the stuff that that's not so great, kind of falls in the other categories. I guess I watched some more of the like adult oriented stuff because I'm an adult. I guess that sounds worse than it does, but not just like nude or whatever, but violence and content, but like I don't know, like the Street Fighter anime, that kind of stuff. But
gotcha.
Because I got into it way late, but I think there's fans of anime who got into it from when they were kids, and their vision of anime is like Pokemon or
right.
What's Dragon Ball Z? That's a big one.
Yeah.
And that's like, that style is like, that's what they think of when they think of anime. When I think of like Akira or Perfect Blue, like that's that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's not for children.
No, that is not.
But so I've dabbled. I also work for a Japanese company. Side note.
Right.
I wonder who I can chat up with about this next time I'm in the office. We have a lot of expats, so I'm curious who I can.
Yeah, see if anybody knows Kinnikuman from their other games. There was a Famicom game called Jump Hero Retsuden, which is from the same, I think, family, although it looks nothing like it. That could be wrong. Mm-hmm. There was an Ultimate Muscle Legends versus New Generation, which is the same characters on the GameCube. That was released in 2003.
Oh, for the GameCube.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Galactic
awesome.
Wrestling, which looks pretty similar to this. That was released on the PlayStation 2 and PSP.
See, I want to play a semi-current Muscle Man game. This sounds great.
I think Ultimate Muscle Legends versus New Generation might be up your alley because that was localized. That was in North America.
Nice.
You have a GameCube.
I do.
So see, this might be your next couple of weeks. Let's see if we can find you one.
There might be spiders living in it, but I'm kidding.
Let's see if we can find one for a decent price. Ooh, no, no, these are expensive. There's one that's
I'm
here
telling
for
you, man.
$93.
Yeah, see.
There's a $50 one, but this case only, no game.
See, some of these games are out of print.
Are you out of your mind? $149 for a no manual with the game.
For an obscure GameCube game. Yeah. I'll tell you, I got the first 3 Silent Hill games in the original format. I got to put them in a safe.
Yeah, really? You need to insure them at this point.
I got to get them validated. Or my copy of Lucky Louie, apparently.
Yeah. Get on Lucky Louie. Not available anywhere to stream, I don't think.
No, maybe Louis C.K.'s website.
Maybe, right, yeah.
I haven't checked, but
yeah, so this is a small little franchise. This is a weird little piece of the world. The game itself is a lot of fun, though. It's a very enjoyable 15-20 minutes. And
yeah, and I think this is a very this show is called The Bargain Bin, but I think this is like an overlooked gem that people and the franchise is like probably pretty overlooked. I bet they have a cult following, like you said, but
I'm sure.
But nowhere near this in the conversation with Dragon Ball Z heads and people like that. So I'm curious if there's like a Kikomen fan base out there. I bet they exist.
Yeah, the manga series has received several awards and sold well during both of its 1980s serialization and its 2010s revival. Hence,
Nice.
those new games, I guess. Well, yeah. Huh.
And this game was sort of like the gateway into other like wrestling games we would play. I was never a huge wrestling fan. I think you and Joey watched a lot of wrestling.
We did.
But I kind of just absorbed whatever you watched through, just by proximity.
Yeah.
But then we would go on to play like Royal Rumble and like the N64 games. And like those would lead at, I'm never a big wrestling fan, but I played a lot of wrestling video games.
Yeah.
And I feel like M.U.S.C.L.E started it.
That's probably a very fair assessment. I would say that
think
probably
so.
did. Yeah, and I've been playing a lot of this game.
Yeah, M.U.S.C.L.E and Punch Out, but that's boxing. But and the mechanics are all there, jumping off ropes and doing special moves,
Grappling and all the rest of it. Royal Rumble was a great game.
And just remembering like Royal Rumble, one of the few good LJN games, by the way.
Yeah.
How like what a big jump that is from M.U.S.C.L.E. I don't know how much my mind was blown playing that game, but and to this day, wrestling games are still, they do really well.
Yeah, they really do. Obviously, the WWE games. My neighbor actually worked on WWE 2K24.
Nice.
So he's worked on those. He was a freelancer for a while. Actually, I know somebody who does another podcast who is huge into character creation in that game. And evidently in the WWE video games, character creation's a really big deal. Yeah. And he knows how to wield that engine like a master swordsman. And
that's amazing.
And he's like now known in the community for being one of the premier costume skin makers in that game.
What a cool niche!
It really is, right? It just,
some people really find their calling in the smallest of paths.
It's really amazing. It's really cool, and he's this unassuming dude who just all of a sudden he was posting all of these different skins because I guess you can do that publicly once you create them. And he started getting to the point where the new game comes out, and people are like, "Hey, when you're releasing skins for this new game?" And now he's at the point where he goes, I don't want to do this as a job. Like, this is not a job. I'll do it when I do it.
I'm always amazed by mods, just like what you can stuff into a game.
Yes, me too. I love that whole thing. I can never do it. Create those things.
No idea.
Boy, do I like to be the beneficiary of them. It's a Justin Ham from Stage Select podcast. If you want to know, he's had a brand new podcast just started up, formerly of Nerds Without Pants. So definitely check out their show. Here's a little plug for my pals over there at Stage Select.
Well, then we know what needs to happen is that your pal needs to make Muscle Man skins.
Yes.
For the upcoming. Hopefully there's no like Kiko Man copyright issues, but we'll sort that out later. See if we can make the main guy with the mohawk, the skin colored mohawk, by the way.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
I was looking at that toy. I'm like, wow, it's a flesh mohawk.
It's a flesh hawk.
It's bizarre.
It is rather strange. Yes, it is. Kinnikuman. I'm gonna be like, hey, can you look up some Kinnikuman skins there on WWE 2K.
I keep saying Kiko Man, like the soy sauce.
Kiko Man is a soy sauce, sir.
I'm way off. Oh boy. Yes, but he needs to make skins. I'm telling you, this is gonna renew interest in this series.
To breathe new life into the series.
I want some credit, darn it.
Yes. Indeed. Another wrestling game we played a lot of course, was, as you just alluded to, WCW versus NWO.
That was the one.
On the N64.
N64.
Which was great.
That was a great game.
It's a great game.
Yeah. Yeah, I played a lot of that.
Yep. And it was cool because you had the characters, and it wasn't random anime characters we didn't know.
Which was they were characters, yes. Hey, Royal Rumble did too. I knew
Royal
the Undertaker was, and
he has some well-known ones like the Undertaker. I don't think Hogan was in that one.
Was Ric Flair?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Shawn Hitman Hart was in that one. I know that one for sure. I think Shawn Michaels had been in there too.
The Undertaker.
Yeah. I'm sure. If only we had the device that could tell us everything we need to know about everything. And then wasn't there a character named Doink? It was a clown.
Ooh. I don't remember that.
There was a killer,
I don't remember
clown
that.
wrestler. And Razor Ramon. I know he was in there.
Oh yeah, he had a cool soundtrack. I remember his theme song was good.
But it's funny you mentioned about mods. Have you watched the Fallout series yet, Bobby? You probably don't need to because you're not a Fallout fan.
Well, I've never played Fallout, to be fair, so I wouldn't say I'm a fan or not. I can't comment on something I know nothing about.
Fair.
But from what I've seen, and I like Bethesda's work, so I'm going to say it's probably good. Is the show good?
Yeah, it's actually real good.
Nice.
Jamie and I just finished it last night. It's eight episodes. Got through it pretty quick. I like it a lot. I think it looks very as a big Fallout fan. I just like how it looks. I think they got the look of it perfect.
Yeah.
It's got the Bethesda humor and kind of silliness with all the very serious undertones. It's extremely violent in a cartoon goofball sort of way, which Fallout is.
Yeah.
It can be very violent. Fallout series is good. There's a great Easter egg at the end that made me so happy and giggly. I was like literally jumping up and down like
It's
a child.
for like the video game players. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, it teases the next because there's already announced to be a second season of this already. They already announced they're gonna do a second season, and it all ties into the next season. And I'm not going to say anything further about it because people should watch it. It's a lot of fun. You were talking about modding. Yeah, the modding community for Bethesda games is great. So because of the Fallout series, my wife was now like, hey, maybe I should play one of the Fallout games because she really liked the series.
interesting.
So now I'm like, ooh, great. So I re-downloaded Fallout New Vegas, which is my favorite Fallout game. It might be a top 5 favorite game for me of all time.
Nice.
And I went to modding because the funny thing about the Bethesda games, Fallout 4 is getting a resurgence online because of the series. Everyone's like replaying 4, replaying 3. Boy, it would be nice if people could just play Fallout New Vegas because you can't. Like you,
Oh no.
it's so buggy and so broken on modern hardware. You need to mod the game insanely to get it to run. There's a whole thing out there. If you want to play New Vegas, there's called Viva Las Vegas, I think it is, or Viva New Vegas.
Yeah.
The website. It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to mod the original mod New Vegas. It will take you about an easy 6 hours worth of time to download these mods, install these mods, configure these mods. Because Bethesda doesn't fix their own games, the community does it for them. And then Bethesda goes, we love our modding community. Of course you do, because they fix your games for you. You can play New Vegas on your modern machine, but you need to jump through an insane amount of hoops to do so. Wow. Or it might be available on like maybe Xbox Pass or one of the passes. I don't know. But I spent a good portion of this weekend re-downloading mods and reinstalling my copy of Fallout New Vegas for hopefully for my wife and I to play on stream at some point. So keep an eye out for that.
I mean, and that's the only way you can play it on like modern systems now. Is that
it's
because the server doesn't exist?
No, it's not because the server exists. It's just Bethesda games are notoriously buggy when they first release. Sure. They're just notoriously buggy, and New Vegas is a buggy mess. But it's very hard to play what they call vanilla New Vegas because there's so many quality of life. There are tens of thousands of mods released for New Vegas, just New Vegas. And I think I have 124 of them running. If I turn on New Vegas right now, 124 mods start running. Cleans everything from character AI to stuttering to frame rate locks to fixes these bugs and that bugs. It's wild. There's content. The people have created their own quest lines and their own 20 to 30 hour storylines, fully voice acted. Fallout 4 has a lot of really good fan-made mods. That are quest mods. At the end, I played one last week that was, I think, a 5-hour DLC style thing. They have one that's like 20 or 30 hours. And fully voice acted, full branching paths, the whole thing. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I ran into a similar issue. I mean, a much older game. I finally played the sequel to Wolfenstein. It's called Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah, how's it?
Yeah. I loved it. It was a lot of fun and a very ahead of its time as far as like, I don't know, like the way you do like stealth and stuff. It was very cool. But the version I bought on Steam is like the version that's available to anybody. a lot of modern systems like have problems playing it. The developer never really went past a certain year for certain Windows 10 systems or whatever. And there's like community like codes you can put in to fix the scaling issues or whatever. But after an hour, I was like, I'm just going to return this. and then in a last ditch effort, a community mod exists on Steam for free of the whole game. You don't have to do any fancy work. You just have to download it on Steam. And it's called Real Return Castle Wolfenstein, and it's the whole game fixed for modern computers.
Wow.
You can play it. It have a widescreen it's fixed for widescreen monitors and 1080 TVs or whatever, and it just works perfectly. And I went, oh, I still want to return the one I bought because this free mod is perfect. They really did a great job. But it's just so funny. Some games, it depends on the market or demand for it. If they don't, they want to future-proof it. It depends. But it's amazing how in the weeds you can get with computer gaming, especially reviving old games.
It's funny because Fallout now with this new resurgence because of the show, which is very popular on Prime right now.
Then they should be jumping on this.
You would think Bethesda's be like, oh, hey, let's make it so that when people buy New Vegas on Steam, they can run it if they have an AMD graphics card. Because guess what, friends? If you have an AMD graphics card in your computer, you cannot run Fallout New Vegas. Don't even try. Hard crash as soon as you start playing the game past the first cutscene. Hard crash, because that's what happened to me. I'm like, oh, dang, because the drivers didn't update. They haven't updated. It doesn't support the new drivers. And I look up hard crash New Vegas. It's a big thing. Yep. If you have 2024, roll back your drivers to 2023, which will break all your other games, unless you want to install this mod. And then I was like, I almost gave up a couple times too, Bobby. I was like, I can't sit here and install all these mods. But for some reason, it became a mission. And now
it does. I know that feeling.
It became a mission. I'm like, I am going to make this damn thing work. And sure enough, I now have it. Last night, I was able to get it fired up. Runs beautifully. Runs in beautiful 60 frames and just
nice.
Hums along lovely. So anyway, I'm not sure how we got from M.U.S.C.L.E to Fallout because. But if you are listening,
series, yeah.
But anyway, the Fallout. If you are listening to this, my wife and I, we might start streaming Fallout New Vegas. She'll be playing. She's never played a first-person shooter before.
Wow.
So she's now interested enough to give it a try. This could be a 1-episode test. She may see all the crazy things you have to do, like the management of Fallout. Like there's a lot of RPG elements to Fallout, and she may go, nope. Real fast. It could be a very quick nope. We don't know. But we're gonna give it a shot and see. So Bobby, when we think back on Kinnikuman, otherwise known as Tag Team Wrestling M.U.S.C.L.E as an acronym, to which there is no inclination, by the way, of what that's an acronym for. I cannot find what that is an acronym actually for.
Yeah, I never did either.
So we're just gonna say it is muscle. But
muscle.
Bobby, do we keep that in the bin or do we take it home?
We take it home.
Yeah, I take that home too. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think I love the fact it's on a browser now. So I will have the link to the browser-based game in the show notes. And Bobby, you did talk about a upcoming. You seem to think there was another game coming or another show coming. There is another Kunikuman show slated to premiere in July of 2024.
Oh wow, we caught the wave early, Bill.
Sure did. Let's see those numbers go up for M.U.S.C.L.E. I'm gonna have to put in parentheses Kunikuman just so get some SEO going as the keyword.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to do reaction episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining me on this little escapade through little people wrestling and kicking and punching. And thank you for giving this show a listen and hanging with the show while we take this little break from Final Fantasy. If you enjoyed this, there are 19 other episodes of A Gamer Looks at 40 Tales from the Bargain Bin available. If you're a YouTube user, and who isn't a YouTube user these days, I am on YouTube now. The show is on YouTube. Why? Because it's so easy to do. I just put in the link and it populated YouTube with all my stuff. It was great. I did no work. As a result, I have playlists for all the Tales from the Bargain Bin. So if you want to go through all the other 19 episodes, you can go to YouTube, go to A Gamer Looks at 40, playlists, and Tales from the Bargain Bin. There's also a playlist for the Zelda series, for the Final Fantasy series, and for other series as well. Thank you for checking out the show. And Bobby, thank you, sir, for joining me. And until next time, just be kind to yourselves and each other.